Hello everyone, welcome. Crash here, this is RTA Motorsports. So I would figure once I start looking at some other sims like Automobilista or American Truck Simulator, folks over at Kunos would start to get quite busy.
Welcome to RTA Motorsports.
So yeah, what do I mean by that? Well, if you follow sim racing, we all knew that the Ford Mustang GT, the 2015, as well as the Corvette C7 was coming to the sim, as well as a few tracks. We were all aware of that, we all kind of knew, and we also know that they are coming to console. Okay, well there was a few things that was mentioned that they would basically bring to the PC side of it, things they have learned, optimizations that they have made from actually going to the console, to the PC. Not dumbing down the PC version, but basically things that they have optimized, they're bringing to PC. Okay, I can see that. But what I wasn't expecting is how seemingly overhauled the sim seems as a whole. I didn't really feel eager to go back on Assetto Corsa quite yet, as I'm busy looking at some other sims, but it doesn't even look the same anymore. The menu system is the same, yes, but go in the Nordschleife and just see how seemingly overhauled it has been. The textures are completely changed. The trees, all the graffiti, there's so much more graffiti on the track. It just, I'm surprised they didn't actually make more hype for this update, because it just so much has been changed. It's actually really impressive. I'm genuinely excited for it, and I just drove on the on one of their new courses that they have. But after just taking the Mustang and the Corvette on the Nordschleife, I am just shocked. So what we're going to be doing today is we're actually going to take the Ford Mustang GT on the Nordschleife, specifically the endurance circuit. And I'm just going to talk and drive and give you my pointers on what do I think about the vehicle. And then on a later date, we're going to come back and revisit with the Corvette C7. Stay tuned, this is going to be fun. All right, everyone, and welcome. So now we're inside the rig, and we're in the 2015 Ford Mustang GT. And the updates are just crazy, not only to the vehicles, the textures, but just this track. And I can't wait to actually drive around this track and show you, besides the fact that we have the Nordschleife Endurance altogether, which we're on right now, but we actually have updates to the textures, the trees. Like I said before, you'll see in just a moment. But look at this Mustang. This Mustang is gorgeous. The way they modeled it is perfect. Just so happens we're zooming in on the tire right over here, and I could read clear as day, Pilot Sport 3 Michelin tires. Could just about make out the size. I mean, they kind of blurred the size out a little bit, but you could see the Michelin man, the Michelin logo. I could see Brembo on that, perfectly clear on the brakes. The way they modeled this vehicle is just amazing, how well they did it. And this color that we're using here is a classic color. It's like a grayish green, almost like a gunmetal, with a black stripe down the middle. Thought it would be pretty cool to do an old school color like this. All right. So we are going to take off on the track and kind of see how we do. First thing you notice when you jump in is just how fast the track loads up. It's like lightning. I mean, this is really, Assetto Corsa really loads up the tracks the fastest out of the three main sims that I race. You know, that being iRacing, Race Room, and it looks, I mean, it's one of the top lookers. I mean, in some tracks, some aspects, I think it's the best looking one. depending on what you like. I mean, it's just the textures are gorgeous. But now it almost seems like they have boosted the color. Just seems a lot more lifelike. It's gorgeous. I mean, you can see all the little individual blades of grass. And the sounds have definitely been updated. I would say in some aspects of the sounds, it gets a little too echoey, especially if you're using surround sound. You kind of notice it a little bit more. Some areas of the track that I don't think would really call for like an echo, as if you're in a tunnel. You get that tunnel sensation. Really stand on the brake there. And here we go. The audience almost looks 3D now as you're driving by. I don't know if they are or not, but their shaders, the shaders they put on them are awesome. Makes them look like they do have some volume to them. And the trees are just, and the shrubbery is amazing. It almost makes you feel a little claustrophobic on the track, like the track is a little bit more organic and real. Like the grass hasn't been taken care of in a little while. You can see all the individual blades of grass along the sides there. The trees kind of pop more. They look less cardboardish. You could definitely see where the track has been repaved and whatnot, the older and the newer sections of the concrete. A little bit of air there. Still, the force feedback is one of the best, and now you could actually independently adjust the force feedback for each car with like a multiplier. But there's a lot of new graffiti that wasn't there before all over this track. Seems to run a lot smoother too. I have the graphics settings pretty much maxed out with a lot of the effects on. Of course, no VSync. We haven't modified this car at all, except for the force feedback factor. I brought it up because now we have a force feedback meter up here. It tells you whether or not you're clipping. So I was able to actually bring my force feedback on this multiplier up to about 135%. Gave me a lot more positive feel. I don't think it feels like the real thing as far as weight goes. Maybe it's a little bit heavier than the real thing, but you know, that's something that's more of a preference thing, and probably because right now we're running semi-slicks, as that was the standard for this choice of vehicle. You could choose street tires if you want, but you know, with the semi-slicks, maybe, you know, in real life that would give a little bit more weight. See, right there we get a very strong sense of echoing. But look at all these barriers. I mean, kind of makes sense, but it's very pronounced. Gives you a wider sound stage. drift there. But the way that this car feels, it feels very muscle car-ish. The nose feels very, I wouldn't say heavy, it's very quick to turn in, but at its limit, it likes to understeer a bit. And that's something that I get the sense that can be tuned out, but I don't have like the utmost confidence in like throwing it into a corner really hard. Yeah, we lost it. I love how the car sounds, and after driving the real thing, I can say that it sounds really close to the real thing. It handled that really well. I think with some suspension tuning for the track that you're racing at, this car would be an absolute beast. But it almost looks like, you know, talking more about the track, it almost looks like Kunos made a whole new Nordschleife altogether. I mean, with all the shrubbery and the trees, the grass, the lighting, the shading, and then the sounds, the key areas that have the echoing, and it just feels very different. And I do not mean that in a bad way. Soak up the bumps really well, and they handle the carousels really well, which is nice. It's a fun car. I mean, it's fun in the aspect that it's challenging. It's a different feel. It's not like these other supercars that we have in the title that are just, you know, time attack monsters, like, you know, the McLaren and whatnot, where it's much easier to drive. This car here, it definitely requires your attention. You almost feel like you're being what's the word I'm looking for? Well, we will look for that word in just a moment. Getting around the track and, you know, getting around the turns, you feel a really good sense of accomplishment with this vehicle. And she can drift. So I hope you enjoyed this edition of Assetto Corsa
America.
with the 2015 Ford Mustang GT. This car, I wouldn't say it's a purist sports car. I would say it's more of like a purist muscle car, at least how it's portrayed in this title here. The car feels very sharp, the turn-in is great, but then it will still bite you if you try to go a little too crazy. The car is not going to save you from yourself, and I really like that. There's a lot, you can see that damage that I did unfortunately to the front, but you can see that there's a lot that can be done with the tuning of this vehicle that would probably make it more handle like a sports car, but I really enjoyed it just the way it was out of the box. It really was rewarding. It wasn't so crazy that you felt like you couldn't drive the car, but it was enough that made it fun, and that just made it a really rewarding experience. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you also enjoyed seeing just how beautiful the Nordschleife turned out to be with just a simple update. And I'm sure it wasn't simple, but it wasn't a real hyped update from the Kunos team at Assetto Corsa. So I am just really impressed. And if this is a peek into the future of what Assetto Corsa is going to look like on the console, now I have all the graphical settings for the PC basically turned all the way up. So I don't think it's going to quite be at this level, but I'm sure it's going to be close. Let's just say I am thoroughly impressed. I really am. So keep up the good work, the Kunos team. Next time we're going to take a look at the Corvette C7. I am super stoked to take a look at that car. There's a little heads-up display and everything, but you'll see when the next time comes around. So this is Crash, this is RTA Motorsports. I'll greatly appreciate if you press that like button, subscribe to other future videos, and definitely let me know what you guys want to see next, any other cars you want to see. And as usual, have a great day. See you all out on the track.